What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Paranormies presents the Ahnenerbe Hour. I am Johnny Monoxide, and today I'm joined by Scott Taylor and Mr. Bradshaw Wilson. What's up, fellas?
Hey, how's it going?
It's good to be back.
Right on, yeah, good to have you back. Adam Haidt will be joining us in a little while. He is wage cucking, making pizzas. So, he'll be back with us in a little bit.
Is that some kind of code word that you're using there?
No, he's no. I know we did the Pizzagate episode a while back. He's literally cooking actual pizza, not cheese pizza of the Podesta variety. Stop it.
Just making sure.
Just making sure. We are in. We're getting into the second season now, and this is kind of cool, huh? Finally, made it past the. I don't know. They say that the sophomore. What do they call it? The sophomore slump, when a band makes a second album, it's not as good as their first one. But I think we've. I think we hit it pretty hard so far. I almost said this semester.
Different than the freshman. That's different than the freshman 15 where we all got really fat the first season.
Yeah, we totally did. Well,
I gained 30 pounds.
30 pounds. The freshman 15 doubled up on you. Yeah.
And now it turned into the freshman 50.
Let's jump right into this. We got some donations this week. We got 20 from Charles. And let me see, what is his... Here's to the Right Wing Spook Squad. Sieg! All right. Right on, buddy. And from Don. Hello, good guys. I enjoy your spoopy stories, and you give me a very entertaining listen on my ride to and from work every day. Would love to come on and tell some spoopy stories from Afghanistan and various training places after some extreme vetting. Best wishes, and keep up the great content, Don. Actually, yeah, dude. And Don donated the current year, 2017. Right on, dude. Yeah, I'd love to extremely vet you. That is not gay as that sounds, but yeah, just email me, or hit us up on our Twitter, which we have now, which is at the Paranormies. Thank you, Scott, for hooking that up.
Yeah, I'm finally learning how to run Twitter. It's slowly getting better.
Nice.
So
I actually have to get on.
If you're on there and you're like, yeah, if you're on there and DMing and you're like, this guy's an idiot, it's me. I'm sorry.
No, I was really, really good at Twitter until they took it away from me. And when they took it away from me, I'm like, no, I'm not doing it anymore. But I should get back out there and tweet. Yeah, so we did the donations. We talked about the Twitter. We have our Facebook page, which is the Paranormies present the Ahnenerbe Hour, and Brad runs our Facebook page. Brad, you said you had a message on our Facebook page that you wanted to...
Yeah, we get messages on there from time to time. Someone said, "Hey guys, love your show. Just listened to the CIA episode. Great job. I have always thought that the Bush family was as dirty as a black hooker's asshole."
That's fucking filthy. Sorry. Go ahead.
He's excited about the episode topic tonight.
Yes, tonight's topic. Do you guys want to jump into that, or Scott, do you want to do the... you said there was a comment on the...
So I was reading the comments last week, and there was one that really stood out to me, talking about the whole missing 411 stuff. Let me load that up real quick. Basically, somebody said that they had an experience that was very in line with what we were talking about. This was on the Discus thread on radio.therightstuff.biz. So this is from, I guess it's pronounced Buki. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but whatever. Basically, he says that, and it's a long comment, so I'll kind of summarize. But basically what happened was he was out in the woods, and he was in a national park, and he goes and sits on a boulder to eat lunch, and he's in front of a dry creek bed. Now, anyone who's listened to the last week is already getting all these red flags popping up. Basically, he was eating his lunch. He finished, he looked up, and he realized that he was completely confused about where he was at. He said in front of him was the place that he walked from, like the campsite. But behind him was a briar thicket. Now, what's confusing to him is he never crossed that creek bed to get to the boulder where he was sitting. So basically, imagine the whole scenery kind of flipped. So, of course, this freaks him out. And he's sitting there trying to think, well, what do I do? Because, he knows that he didn't cross that creek. So he starts screaming at the top of his lungs for help. No one heard him. He couldn't figure out what to do. So he just kind of sits there for a while, completely freaked out. And he eventually decides that he either has to go forwards or he has to go backwards. And he decided, well, I know for a fact I didn't cross that creek, so I'm going to go backwards through the briar thicket. Maybe I missed it the first time when I came here somehow. So he turns around and he goes back through the briar thicket. And as soon as he does and gets through the other side, he can see his cousin and his uncle. And he asked them, hey, did you guys hear me yelling? Because he's like 100 yards away at the most. And they said, no, we didn't hear anything. So basically that's what happened. And there was another part of it too. Hang on just one second. He said that the same day he was drinking some water and a bobcat walked right up to him. Now, I don't know if that's maybe related to anything else, but I thought it was kind of interesting because normally they're afraid of people.
Yeah, very. They're pretty skittish.
I could be wrong. So
no, bobcats are pretty skittish normally.
I didn't know if they were one of the cats that attack people or not, but yeah, I just thought that was pretty interesting. Maybe there's something to it. If you want to read it, go on the radio site. It sounded like it was really genuine. It didn't sound like something that someone was making up. So.
No, I read that. I read that whole
weird.
comment. It doesn't sound at all like he's making it up. I mean, yeah, it's a hey man, who is it? Was just saying there was somebody. I believe it was in TRS Facebook group said that afterwards. He's like, yeah, so I was hiking and then I realized I was in a boulder field after I listened to your thing and I'm all, oh fuck. So we got people thinking, dude. I mean, hey,
Yeah, we got a lot of good feedback on that. I guess I don't know. Maybe it's more common than you think to have this kind of stuff happen. Who knows?
The near
you
misses
guys, like completely terrified me. I'm like don't want to go on the camping trip I have planned now.
Just don't wear bright colors.
Yeah,
that was one of the comments we got. Somebody messaged me on Facebook and was like, "Thanks, man. My wife just bought my daughter's going on a Girl Scout camping trip, and my wife bought her these ridiculous pink and orange camouflage pants. Now I have to ruin my weekend and go chaperone this trip." So my daughter doesn't disappear. Hey, you know what? You should chaperone your daughter's trip. Don't be a shitty dad. But I actually, after going through these, the comments were about 70-30. Like there was a few people that were like, "Oh, you didn't get Polides on your show." I mean, he'll talk to a pile of books. Yeah, he'll talk to a pile of books if you pay him to. So let's just say.
Yeah. I saw a couple like that. I mean, I don't know. It's our show.
Pretty sure. It'd
nice, but
it would have been nice if he came on. I have reached out to people.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't want to tarnish the guy's reputation by making him go on a show full of evil racist, and then that hurts his book sales. Or
who's an evil racist? Oh wait, that's us. That's us. Yeah,
all of us.
All of us. Of course. Right. Yeah. No. It's kind of like if we ever do a full-on episode with L.A. Marzulli, we kind of have to lie about who we are. I'm pretty sure he's not going to want to come on a white nationalist, nationalist spoopy podcast. That's fine, and it's fine. But yeah, man, last week was a great episode. We had a lot of good, like I said, we got a lot of good feedback, and hope we scared the shit out of some of you. Hey, don't not go in the woods. Just go in the woods, but just hold hands. It's not gay. Hold hands.
Buddy system. Just use the buddy system.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing, though, Brad. The buddy system. Dude, if you're near a boulder field or you're near any of these possible areas where the Fae hang out, you're going to want to hold your buddy's hand. So, even because people have said, I turned around and they were gone. Like, literally turn around. So, anyways, let's not rehash too much of last week's.
Burn the forest and salt the
know
earth.
That it's not gay. Right.
Yeah.
Burn the forest.
Oh, actually, hold on. There's one more. There's one email. There's one more email I wanted to do. From email from Joe. I was planning on taking my young son hiking on trails with me next summer once he was able. After this episode, I'm not sure about it. I may have to invest in a child leash before then. Wish I had some backwoods spoopy stories for you, but the spooks seem to avoid me. Much love from West Virginia coal country. Sig! Yeah, so. Heil. All right. For some reason, people like to sig at me. I don't know why. But,
I don't know. It's strange.
It's strange. It's almost as if I may have done that many times over the course of a weekend. Do you guys want to do a show topic email now, or you want to do it after, or?
Yeah, let's just do it now. That's fine.
All right, since I got it. Okay. Johnny and everybody else, just finished your latest 411 podcast, and I'm sure y'all will be pleased to know I have to skip work tomorrow due to my inability to sleep. Thank you. That was some seriously spooky shit. Just thought I'd thank y'all and offer some suggestions. Number one, the uncanny. Whatever that is, like weird happenings.
I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, I don't either. Changelings. Now, changelings was something that Musonius brought up last week. How the Fae will kidnap a baby and replace it with a changeling. That's something we could definitely talk about, at least for a little bit. Deja vu. The Ouija board. We did do the episode on the Ouija. We did Ouija back first. Season 1 with Grayfield, we did numerology and Ouija
stories. I think we could do a whole nother episode on it, though.
We probably could. And you know what is? I'm really mad at myself that I came through San Francisco International Airport at 2 a.m. and didn't take pictures. But they have a huge display of Ouija boards, like all kinds. It's literally, the display is probably 100 feet long, and it's like 4 or 5 glass enclosures of different Ouija boards with different layouts and different things. It's not just the alphabet and numbers. Some of them have actual like word, single word answers and whatever. Like I said, it was 2 a.m. I was really tired and I was like, I gotta get to an Uber and get home. But had I had my faculties about me, I would have stopped and taken a bunch of pictures. And I believe my phone was dying too, because it's.
I don't know why airports are always so fucking weird. There's that.
Yeah,
there's
right. You got the Denver International. Yeah, we should.
The Dayton. I think the Dayton airport's weird.
Oh
too,
yeah, the Dayton airport is weird because of the weird Air Force base that's nearby. That was another one that Bella was talking about.
Yeah,
she's nearby there, and I forgot what the airport's called. Yeah. But that's where actually
Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is the base.
Patterson.
Itself. Wright-Patterson.
Wright-Patterson. Yeah, right. That's right. And that was the Air Force base that. Mr. K told us that they flew the Giant of Kandahar into. So there's that as well.
Yeah, wasn't it to Hangar 18, where that's where they put the Roswell bodies to?
Hangar 18 was Roswell. That was New Mexico. Yeah, Roswell.
Yeah.
But
Hangar 18 is in Wright-Pat, though. But yeah.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, it is. Something about airports are just weird. I don't. I don't know if it's they have so many people going through and it's a good cover, but.
Airports are a good place to sneak.
If you think about it, that'd be like some kind of like strange architecture if you want to like hide something in it, like a satanic or esoteric symbol, like like the big Washington D.C. the pentagram thing. You can easily do that with an airport just because of how like weirdly.
Oh, you can easily lay out. You can easily lay out runways and any sort of satanic geometrical patterns, and just.
Oh yeah.
It's just the way the engineer designed it, Goy. Anyways. All right. And also, they said, besides the Ouija board, number 5 was the afterlife. The afterlife's a good topic for us to cover. Paranormal. I mean, nobody's ever sent anybody a postcard from the afterlife, but, there have been people who've died on the operating table and come back.
Isn't there like a documentary called Postcards from the Afterlife?
Oh, Christ,
I think there's a documentary called Postcards from... I might be
proving me wrong, one sentence at a time. All right. But what they said...
A whole 10 episodes about the afterlife.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's so much to talk about.
There really is. Persons to discuss. Colin Wilson, Nesta Webster, and Carl Jung. I know the last one. I don't know the first two, Colin Wilson and Nesta Webster. And then it says, finally, how about discussing the spiritual effects, not the promotion thereof? because I don't want to promote that, but of salvia, DMT, and ayahuasca. I know this is difficult, but surely you can give us a proviso that you are not promoting the use of entheogens, but excuse me, entheogens, but merely the spiritual transcendent effects and the alternate realities they arrive at. You discussing subjects not by default convey an endorsement, which is true. P.S.
I
As
think
an Englishman,
there is something to the fact that it changes your perspective on things, but I just don't know if that can be construed as a positive or negative thing.
yeah, I mean, we can, you know what? I mean, we can get together a group of, you know, maybe a little panel of people who have done what they call hallucinogenics and see how that, you know, I mean, see it, whatever. I don't know. It might be.
I do think there's
too
some
much
weird
Dr. Illusion-y stuff. But anyways,
I tried
weird stuff about.
I tried salvia in my youth. I could come on and talk.
you degenerate fuck. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, and let me finish this email. P.S.
In
As
my
an Englishman, in your youth, you're 17. Calm down. P.S.
By youth, I mean right before we recorded this podcast.
Yeah, I used to do drugs, but that was way back there. No, as an Englishman, I herein use y'all in appreciation of Rufus. Get him on the show more often, as well as Horus the Avenger and Asmodor. Great work, fellas. Fascinating podcasts. Thank you, Rick. Yeah, I mean, we could do... I mean, that's not really a paranormal... And it kind of is a paranormal thing. Some of the out-of-body experiences people have had with hallucinogenics.
Machine elves. Are you familiar with the machine elves thing?
I am familiar with the machine elves and the DMT, yes. The mechanical elves, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's something kind of weird that so many people who do it happen to see these creatures.
Right, and I don't want to give too much away, but we'll save that for that episode. So let's not do that before we get
Right, of course.
Yeah, yes, we'll end up with shit in the comments section, and then the podcast gets kicked off TRS radio. No, wait, anyways. This week we are going to discuss one of the topics given to us by the Goyim who have emailed us. We're going to start with USOs, unidentified submerged objects. And Scott, you've done a bunch of research into this.
Well, I mean, let's not talk me up too much here. I wouldn't say a bunch, but I did enough.
Yeah, we've all done our Googles this week.
Right.
So.
Now, basically, okay. So, what do you want me to just give an introduction about it, and we just kick this off?
Yeah, gotta kick it off with a quick intro.
All right. So basically, USOs, and it's kind of hard to find information about them because they're a subset of UFOs. And the main difference between a UFO and a USO is seen coming in or out of bodies of water or traveling over them, like way out in the middle of the ocean. They've been spotted since the 1400s, actually. Christopher Columbus, his crew, on October 11th, right before they landed in San Salvador, they actually spotted a light coming out of the ocean, and they described it like a candle, a small wax candle that rose and lifted up, to which few seemed to be an indication of land, is what Columbus wrote in his journal that day. And they spotted that right before they made landfall. They've been seen basically all over the world. They've been seen from Iceland and Russia all the way down to Antarctica, New Zealand, Australia, Argentina, all over the Mediterranean. They're basically everywhere there's a large body of water. Mm-hmm. You will find reports of these USOs, and I don't really, I mean, obviously no one knows what they are, but I mean, we can talk about kind of theories behind them and why aliens or whatever they would be going into the ocean. They do have some sort of otherworldly properties that UFOs also have. They have the ability to melt ice, supposedly. There was one story in the 1960s from, I think it was from Antarctica. There was a scientific vessel down there. And they saw one of these USOs come out of the water and go into the water, and where it came out and went in, there was like a big melted circle of ice, and these ice chunks flew everywhere. So supposedly you can just go through ice like it's nothing, basically. So they have some sort of physical properties that aren't quite anything that we're capable of.
Yeah. Everything I've read about them is it's always some sighting of what would be considered UFO once it's in the air, but like you said, it comes out of the water or it's entering the water. You said that thing about the about Antarctica. That brings me back to the episode we did with Horace and talking about Atlantis.
Right. Yeah. He mentioned, he tweeted us this week and talked about that whole Antarctica thing. There was some sort of mass of something or other that's under the Antarctic ice that they found, I guess.
Mm-hmm. They found this huge anomaly underneath the part of Antarctica called Wilkes Land. It's 151 miles across, and it's about 2,700 feet deep underneath there. But what's going on is that there is a huge gravity anomaly. So in 2006, NASA discovered gravitational changes over this huge, what seems to be a crater. So there's something in the crater that's causing a gravitational anomaly. Like there's a much higher rate of gravity. You know, everybody kind of assumes that gravity is pretty much the same all the way around the Earth, right? You know, just like, you know, if you're on land,
gravity changes
the same.
Depending on where you're at. Like
way more
the larger, than you think, too.
Oh yeah, like the larger body of land that you're on, the more gravitational pull that area has. So like the smaller islands and whatever have less gravitational pull than say Africa, you know, or you know, South America or whatever. But
right.
So yeah, so this thing is in the middle of a 300-mile crater, and nobody knows what it is because it is I don't know how many hundreds and hundreds of feet below the ice.
The crater, I remember reading about this. They said that if it was caused by an asteroid impact or whatever caused it, it would have been way, way bigger than the one that killed the dinosaurs. I mean,
right, yeah, definitely, yeah,
huge.
Yeah, they said it was. Where's that? Yeah, it says if that's true, it'd be twice the size. It'd be twice the size of the Chicxulub space rock that wiped out the dinosaurs. So if that's true, that means that this asteroid caused the Permian Triassic extinction event, which killed roughly all of the Earth's sea creatures and about 70% of the vertebrate organisms living on land. Which explains why there's no more, like, you know, if the dinosaurs died out, well, the giant whales and the giant sharks should still be alive because, you know, that didn't affect underwater. But then this meteor, asteroid, whatever, could have affected that, and therefore killing off all the.
Well,
if
it was back in the Permian, that would have been before sharks even showed up, I believe. That would have been like.
I thought the Permian was. Were they Triassic? Or Jurassic?
Okay, so it goes well, the period of the dinosaurs. God, I know people in the comments are going to call us retards for not knowing this.
I know, because we didn't actually Google this part.
No, yeah, the Permian was before the dinosaurs. The dinosaur period is split into Triassic, Jurassic, and then Cretaceous.
Cretaceous, yeah.
Or yeah, see,
not crustaceous. No, Mr. Krabs was not involved.
But yeah, no, I don't think dinosaurs showed up until, I don't think sharks showed up until dinosaurs did. But yeah, if it was before the dinosaurs, it would have been like the trilobites and all those little weird animals you see at the museum.
Right. Well, the invertebrates were around, so the octopi and squid would be around at that point. But
yeah, invertebrates have been around long before vertebrates have, though.
Mm-hmm. And the giant, like, what's the nautilus thing with the big, those things? Yeah, they were giant.
The nautilus, squid thing. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and that's another thing that we weren't planning to get into. But yeah, huge asteroid killed all the animals. So, But some people, conspiracy theorists have said that it's possible that this could be a massive UFO base, or or an opening to the Hollow Earth. So I really like the Hollow Earth theory. The Hollow Earth theory.
I like it. I don't know if I believe it, but I like it.
I actually, I tend to believe the Hollow Earth theory at a, I don't want to say a higher rate, but I have more belief in Hollow Earth than I do in Flat Earth. That's right. Flat Earthers, fuck off.
I don't believe in Flat Earth.
No, I don't either.
I don't even want to.
I don't even want to entertain.
I'm sorry.
I
know the show. We're supposed to like entertain. I know we're supposed to entertain all beliefs and stuff when we're doing the show. But
no. Hey, this is our show. We entertain what we want. No shoes, no shirt, Flat Earth, no service.
I'm willing to believe like pretty much anything else,
but not Flat Earth.
Anything else in the world. I can't.
I think it would be fun just to have a complete debunking episode of Flat Earth.
You guys want to do that?
We'll call
you guys
it, like,
listen.
Just to like kind
straight.
of just to troll people who believe in it.
I think it'd be a great idea. I think, listen, if any of you guys who are listening are serious Flat Earth debunkers, you tweet at us, you email us, you do something, whatever it is, get in contact with us. We'll have you on, and we will have a Flat Earth debunking panel, and we will send it to Renegade Radio. Anyways, that'll be fun. Hey, Brad, remember when you interviewed? Never mind.
Hey. No, I don't. I don't remember any of that.
I do.
I totally do.
What do you mean I had a podcast? Shut up.
Yeah. Oh, man. So, yeah. So, Antarctica itself is another...
hide a base. Oh, yeah, it's a weird place.
It's like, totally where I would hide a base.
If I were I would do it under Antarctica.
Yeah, well, I mean, the United States had Operation High Jump, which was when they brought an entire detachment of ships down there to do something. We don't know, but I guess they came down to attempt to what conspiracy theorists say is they were attempting to find an entrance to the secret under the hidden Earth underneath the planet, the Hollow Earth. But I mean, if you look at the people who did do the exploring, and it was Admiral Byrd, and Admiral Byrd is the one who brought up the Hollow Earth theory. So he was the one, who started that whole thing, and he would know. I mean, he's been to both poles. I haven't been. I don't know. There's
some former Nazis as well involved in high jump, or am I misremembering?
I think it's a separate. It's a separate thing. But then the Germans had a base and still have a base down there. Also, wasn't there? I was reading. Is it under California that there's a giant cave? With
are you talking about the one down in New Mexico? Are you talking about the Dulce, or how do you pronounce it? That one?
Yeah, I think that's the one I'm talking.
That one.
Yes.
There's a guy. What was his name? Phil something, I think.
Oh, I'm sorry. No. The Malibu anomaly. I'm sorry. That's the one. It's the Malibu anomaly.
Okay, yeah. I've not heard of the Malibu anomaly.
Okay, so the Malibu anomaly is it's about 6 miles off the coast of Malibu, California, Point Dume. There's this weird structure, and it's an oval-shaped object, and it has a huge flat top, and what appears to be pillars, which reveal an entrance to a dark, which seems to be a cave. So you're looking at 2,000 feet below the surface of the water,
I am familiar
3
with this.
miles
I remember,
wide.
Saying something about it. Now, there were people saying that it's just a natural rock formation and somehow it's not proof of anything. But if you want to, you can Google it, and you can go on Google Earth and you can look this up yourself. So maybe it's something and maybe it's not, but it's there. I mean, you can look it up.
Yeah, it's there. It looks to be the entrance of some sort of underwater
base.
cave.
It looks like it's got the pillars and or the columns, and it looks like it disappears under this rock. So who knows? Maybe it's something.
Mm-hmm. That was one. Yeah, I watched that video that's on there. It's the breaking news, Jimmy Church Radio, and Jimmy Church Radio kind of seems to be doing sort of the same sort of show as this. So you may not want to listen to that, But we'll talk about it. But yeah, they talked about that, and it's huge. And like I said, it's 2,000 feet under the water. And in Southern California, there have been many, many, many reports of these USOs in that general area. So, I mean, who's to say that that's not some sort of underground UFO that they submit? I don't know, man. Are we on the USOs are just UFOs but in the water?
I think so. I mean, I don't really know what else they would be necessarily. Like, they pop out. Well, there's reports of UFOs popping out of like the sides of mountains and stuff as well. So it could just be that they're all part of the same phenomena, and they just happen to be over the water.
Right.
And it kind of made it hard to do research for this episode, just because the way they're treated as a subset of UFOs. They're not really viewed as anything special as far as I can tell. There was one case, though. Do you want to talk about the one up in Canada that crashed into that bay? Do you know what I'm talking about?
The Shag Harbor incident. Yeah.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
You want to do that?
Start that. Yeah.
Okay, so basically the Shag Harbor UFO incident was up in, I want to say, Newfoundland?
Nova Scotia. But
There was a UFO, Nova Scotia, okay. There was a UFO that was spotted flying over this harbor, the Shag Harbor, and it crashed into the water. And there were, I think, 11 or 12 eyewitnesses who saw this. And of all these people, I think one of them actually ended up writing a book later on. He was like 12 when this happened, and he ended up writing a book about the whole incident. The Canadian government went out there and searched the water for whatever this was that crashed. So they obviously believed there was something there, and supposedly they never came up with anything. They trawled the water for 2 or 3 days afterwards, and they just could not find anything, whatever this UFO may have been. And they did like the sonar stuff. They did all the, scraping the ground, all that stuff, and whatever it was, they just found no evidence of this wreckage. But it was seen by like a dozen different people, and it was described as typically your basic UFO. And somehow it just went down and crashed. So maybe if it landed on the land instead of the water, it'd be kind of another Roswell incident. But who knows? It just kind of crashed into the water instead.
I'm sorry, they said that there was a yellow light. I mean, there was a whole bunch of, like, the people. Here's the thing: is that everybody that is, it was a witness to this. The 11, I think it was. You said 11 or 12. I think it's 11. So, yeah, it's 11. They all basically had the exact same story. Like a lot of these UFO sighting stories, there's a little bit of, differences between people's stories. This was pretty much word for word. Everybody told the same thing. There's a bunch of yellow light shining from it. They all saw, like, they all heard this whistling sound like a bomb. But then whoosh and a loud bang. They all saw the flash of light as it hit the water. Everybody assumed it was an airplane. So that's kind of why they started doing the trawling. But they said that they brought up pieces of what they said was aluminum. But one of the Navy divers actually said that they were lying, and it wasn't aluminum. It was...
wasn't one of the divers came out years later and said they did find something?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the guy I was talking about. Yeah, he said that later on, he's... where's the guy? An American diver known only as Harry in the book Dark Object, and the Dark Object is the book you were talking about. Harry claimed the photographs were taken by divers and some foam-like debris brought up. Another military witness claimed there were actually two objects, one perhaps trying to assist the other. And the other thing is, on that same evening, a seemingly identical UFO was reported departing the area by witnesses who saw by the original 11 witnesses. So they saw the crash, and then later on, they saw another thing flying away. So it could have been some sort of a rescue reconnaissance or something, other craft coming to assist the downed craft. What they did say, Whereas, yeah, the location where the object sunk, there was a nasty yellow foam all over the surface, about 80 feet wide and a half mile long. No idea what that could have been caused by. I don't know if they did any sort of chemical analysis on it, but that could have been from some sort of extraterrestrial fuel product, maybe? Who knows?
Maybe it could have been like an airbag. Like
right.
airbags or something.
Yeah, but it wasn't air. It was, air from Alpha Centauri.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Who
whatever.
knows?
Yeah. Their air isn't exactly the same as ours. Who knows? But yeah, no, that was very. It was seen by a lot of people, so it's not just one of those. One person saw it or two people saw it, and there's not a lot of corroboration. But this is, it was corroborated by 11 people.
Well, at least the initial crash. Unfortunately, the only person who came out with them saying, they found anything else was that diver. I don't think anyone else came forward to say that they found anything. So they could have been something or not. But the crash itself was corroborated by several people.
Mm-hmm. There was, like you said, most people just saw it. Anything that happened afterwards, I'm pretty sure there was nobody around for that but the military. And they said they called off the search after a couple days. They didn't find anything other than the weird aluminum-like stuff that Harry said they brought up. So we'll never know.
I don't think there were any planes that were flying over that area at the time. So whatever it wasn't a civilian aircraft. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Or a military one, for as far as I know.
Well, that's the other thing is, we can talk about what we think they are. What do you think USOs are?
I think they're just regular UFOs that happen to go in and out of the water. Whatever they are, I don't think there's anything that fundamentally sets them apart from other UFOs. Whether you think UFOs are alien in origin, or you think that they're some sort of government aircraft, or you think maybe some are one and some are the other, I don't think there's anything about USOs that sets them apart from whatever I would consider a UFO to be. Personally, I think they're probably a little of both. You have some that are probably secret military planes. You probably have some that are alien, whatever. So, I don't know. I don't think they're anything special. I think maybe
why not
whatever
both?
They are, why not both? I think there's probably some sort of undersea bases that they probably go to. Because we know more about the surface of the yeah, thanks Sean. We know more about the surface of the moon than we do the deep ocean. That's
definitely.
Fact, so
definitely, that's a good little topic to discuss right there. The fact that we don't know what's down below the ocean, but we do know what's on the moon. I believe we spent more money as a nation on space exploration than we have on undersea exploration. Mm-hmm. I think that's a shame, really, because there has to be stuff down there that we don't know and haven't seen and need to know and need to see.
Oh yeah, not even necessarily anything paranormal, just the weird animals that are. Oh
yeah,
there.
Nothing nefarious or anything. Like you said, the weird animals, the things that are down there. I've seen some of those. What is it, Planet Earth or whatever it is, where they go down with it's basically just a ball with a camera in it. They take it down to Marianas Trench, and there's these weird things that live in water that's basically there's no oxygen. It's just sulfur. And these things actually live there. There's crabs and whatever,
There's bacteria that live inside of rocks and shit, or around geothermal vents. I don't know how that happens, but you have a geothermal vent, and it's the only source of light or heat around for however many feet or miles, and there's just life clustered around it. That's their sun, basically. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So but disregarding all the cool nature stuff, I still do think that there's probably some sort of UFO type stuff down there, or hidden bases.
I agree with that 100%. I do. It's also
ET.
Sea Lab or whatever. It's like the same thing with the moon. It's we'll never know. We can't go there, so we don't know.
Supposedly a lot of alien bases on the moon too. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've seen that before. They have these weird spires and stuff.
Mm-hmm. I have. That was one of the things I was discussing when we had Horace on. Is we talked about, my moon theory is that the moon landing that we all know is fake, but that doesn't mean we haven't gone. We just haven't gone in the way that they told us about, because the way they told us about was we had to do it that way to beat the Ruskies to the moon. But anyways, that's a whole another episode thing. But who's to say that those same Aryans that put bases on the moon haven't put bases underwater and aren't still underneath the ice in Antarctica? Like, we still don't even know what happened, why Secretary of State Kerry, made 2 trips to Antarctica.
Oh yeah, they made that emergency trip. It wasn't just him, was it? There was a bunch of other people that went.
There was a bunch of other people, but it was him. But it was him. It was him and his, I don't want to say entourage, but group.
Right.
Yeah, and they all went. It was right after Trump won. It was like directly after the election. So I mean, we don't know what's down there.
Yeah, and wasn't there someone that had to be like emergency evacuated around the same time as well? Do you remember that?
That was one. I
don't know if it was like a scientist or something.
No, it was one of the moon landing guys, and it wasn't.
Oh yeah, they sent someone down there.
It was It wasn't Armstrong. Did they send Buzz Aldrin down there?
Was it Buzz Aldrin? I think it was Buzz Aldrin.
Who's the one that likes to punch people in the face for saying the moon landing isn't real?
I was about to say, yeah, that's Buzz Aldrin.
That's Buzz. I'm pretty sure it was Buzz Aldrin. Hey, Brad, you're back.
Yeah.
No, wasn't Brad?
Yeah, no, I'm back. Yeah, no, it was Buzz. You're thinking of Buzz Aldrin.
Oh, all right, you're back. I was scared. We thought we lost you permanently. Yeah, no, it was Buzz Aldrin. Yes, Buzz Aldrin got sent down. Who's got a fever?
My girlfriend has the fever. I'm just tending to her.
Oh. All right, well, we're recording a show, so,
Yeah, well, sorry. Priorities.
Yeah, right, exactly. That's what I was saying. So, so whoever it was evacuated. Buzz Aldrin was evacuated out of Antarctica. And, and like we're saying, there's this thing that's down there in Antarctica that we don't know anything about. Antarctica is, man, I really want to go, but I want to go with like the funding for a legit exploration, like an expedition that you would see in a movie, I want 4, scientists. In the movies, it's always like there's, it's always a Russian guy, a black dude, an Asian guy, and a white guy, whatever. Yeah, right. No, the reality is, we need 4 scientists to go down, whatever, and some climbing gear, and one of those giant digging things, and there has to be stuff under there. And if Antarctica holds like the key to, possibly Atlantis being down there, that is definitely something I would like to be a part of. Not going to happen. But I would like to.
You mentioned that whole, the whole Aryans building the base thing there. There's something that ties into that with the USOs, actually. In I think it was the late 50s and the early 60s, around Argentina, there were these submarines that were supposedly being spotted. There was one of them that was chased by, 14 different American ships and Argentine American combined force and 30 different planes. They could not triangulate it. It was spotted. They got sonar off of it, all that stuff. They just could not triangulate it for whatever reason. They dropped depth charges, bombs, all the stuff you try to do to blow up a sub. They just could not damage it. And the most interesting thing about this is that witnesses who saw it, especially World War II veterans, because this was the late 50s, so there were still a lot of those around, they claimed that it actually looked like a German World War II sub, like the kind that they had gone after, 15 years before.
Yeah, didn't they say something about it was doing one of those things where it was making maneuvers that it shouldn't have been able to make underwater and stuff?
I think so. Also, the fact that this was in Argentina, which, I'm sure as all our listeners know, that's where a lot of the Germans fled to after the war. So maybe there's something to it. Maybe they invented some sort of specialized sub while they were there, and this developed into these underwater bases. Who knows?
Oh, I'm of a strong belief that all the best part of Germany went to Argentina. When they split Germany up after World War II, they gave an equal part to the United States in Project Paperclip, and they gave an equal part to the Soviet Union, and I can't remember what their project was called. But all the very important, top secret stuff went to South America. There's a movie called The Boys from Brazil, and it's about a town in South America that has a very high percentage of twins being born. Dr. Mengele was doing twins experiments. That's something that could have been happening. The Nazi Bell Project allegedly went to South America. So yeah,
the Bell Project is super interesting. I don't know what that is all about because no one knows what it's about.
Well, it's the Stargate. It's the Stargate theory. Time travel.
Well,
it's time travel and it's interdimensional and time travel. It's like a multifunctional portal. It's not just you don't just become gay. You also go to other dimensions.
Right, of course.
Right, but it's basically the theory behind the Hollywood Stargate stuff, like the TV show and the movies and whatever, like the Stargate.
Yeah,
that was the inspiration was the Nazi Bell Project. That's a whole man. I want to do Nazi Bell Project one of these days. There's a lot of
problem with it. There's just not a lot of information about it, like because no one knows what it is, and there's no.
I want to go to Argentina, and I want to shake people into telling me what it is. It's like.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, we could have done that if it was, 50, 60 years ago, but now they're basically all gone. So
right. Yeah,
except for, like the guy who the time travelers didn't because they ended up gay. They didn't have any grandkids.
Oh, that's right.
I was about to say we could go back 50, 60 years to talk to these people. We just, we'd risk
end up gay.
Turning gay.
Yeah, of course. So we can't do that either.
Actually, Scott, both of us have reproduced, so we might be able to pull it off. I think.
I don't know what happens if a dad goes back in time. I'm not sure how that works.
We'll have
to do a whole episode.
We'll have to do a whole. Well, no, we'll have to just do an experiment. I mean, like somebody's going to have to.
Yeah. So if you know how to time travel, send us an email.
That's right.
It's going to be like, all those people volunteering to go to Mars just to die on Mars. It's like one of our people are going to volunteer to go back in time just to become gay.
Implying there's not a line.
This show's gone off the fucking rails.
Yeah. All right. So back to the USOS. So are there?
I think there's something in Argentina that has to do with the USOs. If not now, at least I think that one was definitely real because there were so many witnesses. Like they sent 14 fucking ships after these things. Like
14, 30 planes. 30 planes tracked this thing.
You don't just do that for shits and giggles. Like, they're not going to do it unless it was something that they thought was real.
Right. So, question. Are underwater bases run by the government groups or those with unlimited funds in the private sector with personal agendas?
Oh, that's a good question, too, because I wouldn't put it past a lot of these millionaire types. Well, not millionaires. Multi-billionaires.
Millionaire.
Yeah.
Speaking of multi-billionaires, David Rockefeller died this week.
Yeah, I know. Great news. I was going to mention, he's probably been underwater.
That's one for the good guys. Oh, and one of his grandchildren died today. So that's two Rockefellers this week.
Grandchildren or a child? One of them in a plane crash.
So he died. Yeah, it was another Rockefeller died in a plane crash. Nephew, whatever. A Rockefeller died.
Doesn't that sound? It sounds to me like almost one of those power play type things, like trying to control the rest of the fortune. Like some cousin kills another cousin or something like that.
Interesting. Jews Jewing Jews.
Was I don't think Rockefeller was a goy, wasn't he? I could be wrong.
Honorary.
Well, yeah, certainly honorary. Yeah,
I don't know. It's like in as much as the Rothschilds are Jews. So.
Yeah. Well, no, they definitely are.
The Rothschilds are Jews.
Their sigil was the supposed Star of David, which didn't exist before they used it or something like that. But
We could do an episode on the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds, actually.
We certainly could.
We should.
But no, I think that there's probably some like private stuff that goes on down there, is private enterprise type stuff. Like, I wouldn't put it past one of these billionaire types to have something just to have it, you know.
I don't see why not. I mean, you've got Sir Richard Branson with his own private space program, you know, like for X amount of dollars, you can go up into space for 5 minutes or however long he takes you up there. Why wouldn't they have paid? Good Lord, now that I think about it, like maybe there's more than one Sea Lab under, you know what I mean? I
think there's a ton. Like, you have to consider, like, okay, so let's just assume that all of it's real. The UFO factions or whatever, all the alien factions on Earth are real. There's not just going to be one base. I mean, you have all these different conflicting groups with different objectives and interests and all that. So I think it's perfectly plausible to think that they're just all over the world.
Yeah, I don't see why it wouldn't. I mean, that actually makes a lot more sense, because if you think about it, every government that is supposedly, I actually read a book a long time ago. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it's the 5 alien races that are helping the world or whatever. And
you got like the Pleiades and the reptilians and all that stuff. Yeah.
Right. And like the Japanese are definitely working with this faction of aliens because this, and then the Chinese are working with these, and the Americans are working with these people, and then the Russians and whatever. But, yeah, there has to be more than one base. So the underwater base has to exist. The mountaintop base has to exist, like the jungle base. Everything like that we ever saw in a kid's cartoon, when it comes to that, probably exists.
Yeah. You said the jungle. There was one thing I read about. There was an Australian farmer in like the 60s.
Yeah, banana farm. Out of a banana farm out of the swamp, this thing came out.
Farm.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a fucking swamp. Like, is there under swamp bases? Who knows? I don't know.
Who knows the limits of Sean Last's wallet?
There are no limits.
There are no limits to what Zog will fund. I mean, and who's to say? Yeah, okay, and who's to say it's not Zog?
Well, I think that's covered by all the government stuff we talked about.
Right? Yeah, that's Zog. And even like us. Okay, so I mentioned the Japanese for a reason, because there is.
I'm talking about the Japanese.
Oh, hello, Mr. Adam Haidt, to join the show. Hello.
What do you like to pick up to?
We talk about the USOS. Finish up the first hour.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right on. So yeah, what I was saying was,
I was gonna say the
Japanese. There's the Yonaguni underwater ruins. Have you seen that picture, Adam? I'll have you.
Is that the one that?
It looks like it's
the whole city.
Yeah, and it's all carved out in stone and nice flat, chiseled.
There are a absolute ton of those underwater ruins that can be found pretty much all over. I know there's some in the Mediterranean. There's some in Egypt, like whole cities that have just been submerged, I guess, due to rising water levels over the last several thousand years.
Global warming.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
This the thing is the Yonaguni monument, as it's called. They're arguing over whether it's completely natural or it's like man-made. But if you look at the map of this place, there's absolutely no way that naturally the Earth would have formed like perfectly shaped steps up 4 sides of this plateau thing.
It's
terraces,
like a
terraces and roads, and like the roads are all carved perfectly. It's totally natural. Totally natural.
There's actually a thing in Japan off the coast. They have their own Bermuda Triangle that a lot of these USOs and stuff are seen going in and out of the water in this area. There's something called, I don't know how much stock I put into it, but there's something called the Vile Vortices. Basically, one of them is the Bermuda Triangle, one's this Japanese area. There's a couple others that are on different spots. Like, basically, if you imagine the Earth is like a big D20 dice, the vertices of this dice, if you match up one to be like the Bermuda Triangle, there's some that populate the Earth on all these other different spots. And supposedly there's like increased activity from UFOs and stuff that are seen around these areas. But I don't know if I put much stock into it. But there is a Japanese USO phenomenon as well. And a lot of these ships go missing in this area as well. Like it's a well-known thing in Japan. It's like a version of the Bermuda Triangle.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's something. Maybe
Taylor's
it's
trying to get.
What was that, Adam?
what?
Nothing.
Shows up late and brings nothing to the table. All right. Well,
Oh, you just went till hour 2. Buddy.
that's right. Damn.
We actually have a fan who messaged the Facebook page
This is-
who claimed.
You saying we
Claim
have a
this-
fan is the most unbelievable paranormal thing we've covered so far.
Yeah.
Stop
Whoa,
it.
dude, we're talking to our fans right now. All one of them.
Come on.
that's me.
Come on. You're on the show.
No, this guy. I don't know if I can use his real name, so I'm just going to refer to him as JD. He's claimed he once saw one off the coast of Maine, about 80 miles out from the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard, and he'd love to tell the story. Just send us another message. Maybe we can talk about this if this is ever something we want to revisit.
Interesting. Okay.
The
cool comment from the radio page. Yeah, we did that.
okay.
Yeah. All right. So in the change it up in the second hour. But the USO thing, Scott, you got anything else you want to talk about?
No, unfortunately, there's really just not a whole lot of info about it. It was kind of the guy who originally messaged us about it and kind of turned us on to it was kind of saying the same thing. He's like, I've looked on the internet, I can't really find too much about it, and we've looked as well. There's just not too much info.
Yeah, he wasn't
for whatever
wrong.
reason.
We literally
Yeah.
we
Definitely
literally
wasn't wrong.
studied all 4 web pages we found, or whatever it was. Yeah. I mean, I know they did an entire episode of Ancient Aliens with what's his face there, Sulikos and the giant hair. And they did a whole hour on it. And I actually went back and watched it. And we just did an hour on it, and we covered the exact same thing. So
Really.
there's only like
Well,
there's
at least
on
with
the
ours,
we brought a little
at least
more.
with ours, we talked about time travel. And stuff.
Right.
Oh, good.
The important things.
Some Galians.
Yeah, don't worry.
Yes. So we're gonna stop. All right, we're gonna take a little break. We're gonna listen to a song, and we will come back after this with Mr. Adam Haidt.
Join the Cybernazi division.
All right, everybody, we're back. And we are still the Paranormies presents the Ahnenerbe Hour. I'm still Johnny Monoxide with Scott Taylor, Bradshaw Wilson, and Adam Haidt. Decided to join us for the second half. We finished up unidentified submerged objects with the conclusion that we don't know what they are, and they're probably UFOs. So
It's probably just a Loch Ness monster.
oh wow, that's
You know what? There were USOs spotted around Loch Ness. I totally forgot about that.
Oh, for Christ's sake, we missed some. All right.
That's all
We
right.
missed some.
That
That's
was
all
all I had to say about it. Just pretend I said that 2 minutes
Last
ago.
hour. That's right, before the song. All right, so we're gonna change it up quite a bit. We have another fan submission for a subject, and this is is it pronounced Dyatlov? Pass?
I don't know.
Isn't
It's
it?
like vodka speak, so you know.
So
I just
Dyatlov.
call it
All
like
right, so
this.
it's Dyatlov Pass is Mountain of the Dead. Yeah, we drink vodka and die out in mountain. No, but
I actually didn't open the vodka, but we'll get to that.
this is a legit
Well, that's
terrifying.
how you know it's paranormal, because they didn't open the vodka.
Russians were not drinking. Slavs were not squatting in tracksuits drinking vodka. All right. So this is one of the most, I guess, terrifying mysteries of the modern age, which you have 9 Russian mountaineers whose cross-country skiing trip ended in a tragedy that's so
They all died.
perplexing. Well, yeah, they all died. And a tragedy so perplexing that, like, it still mystifies experts. What is it, 50, 60 years later?
Yeah, it happened in 1959, in the winter of 1959.
Okay, so 58 years ago.
Yeah, quite a long time.
One of the craziest things about it, though, is that like where a lot of things are discussed on the show are conspiracy. This is something that like you can look this up. This like happened for sure. It's not even like a conspiracy. Yeah. There's no question about it. This strange thing happened.
It absolutely happened.
So what are the actual facts of the case, like without going into speculation?
All right, well, I just so happen to have prepared those facts. So, like Johnny was saying earlier, it was a team of basically cross-country skiers. Most of them were grad students at the Ural, U-R-A-L. I don't know what the best way to say that, the Ural or whatever, Polytechnic Institute. And that was situated fairly close to the Ural mountain ranges. And so Igor Dyatlov, which the pass is named after him, it wasn't called that before this tragedy happened. He was going to take these people on this big skiing trip in this dangerous mountainside. And they were all experienced skiers and everything, but they wanted to get practice for some Arctic research trips later on. They were, mostly grad students. So they wanted to go to more extreme, harsher places, so they needed to practice for it. So on January 25th, 1959, they got on a train from a place called Sverdlovsk, and I'm just going to say a whole bunch of Russian names. Honestly, I have a hard time keeping them straight. But the point is, they left a train from there that was kind of the, what's the word, like the more urban, like settlement that they decided to leave from, and they went up to this little settlement called Vizhai. And earlier Johnny mentioned there was 9 people, and I won't bother to go through the names because who the fuck can keep track of them. I'll bring up their names later. There was 10 of them, and one of them got sick. So when they were at this settlement called Vizhai, which was very close to where they were going to begin the skiing trip, he had to stay behind. And that was actually important later because he was helpful in IDing like the various evidence that was left over, whose skis are these, who does this belong to, that sort of thing. So only 9 of them actually made the trip up there, and it turns out that Yuri Yudin, he's the name of the guy who stayed behind, he was actually pretty lucky for staying. So they left without him up into this mountain pass, and they were supposed to return on February 11th, 1959, and get back to Vizhai, the settlement. They were going to send some telegrams home, you know, like to just say, hey, we did it, everything's fine. Well, they didn't send any telegrams out on February 11th, but, you know, these things rarely go exactly on schedule, and everybody involved was a pretty experienced skier and mountaineer, so nobody was really worried until a week had passed, and they had still gotten no telegrams. So the family was urging the Institute to like set up a search party and everything, you know, pretty standard, go figure out what happened. And it took a little bit, and they couldn't find them, so the military and civilian authorities got involved. And on February 25th, 1959, a plane spotted their tent. And they found them at this place called the Mountain of the Dead. Fun fact, the mountain range that this mountain was in is called Ortorton. And the local Mansi tribe named it. That's what it's named after, you know, what they called it. And it actually means don't go there. So I don't really know why they wanted to go to the Mountain of the Dead and the don't go there mountain ranges, but, you know, I guess that was the best place.
There's something to actually say about that mountain range in Mansi folklore. There were like 9 Mansi tribesmen who died in that mountain range.
Yeah, which is pretty spooky coincidence. Not that
it kind of reminds me of
coincidence.
It kind of reminds me of last week when we were talking about how a lot of those people disappear in places that are named like devils, whatever. You know, maybe if something's got like a really fucked up name out in nature, just avoid it. Just don't go there.
That's pretty much my.
Don't go to the don't go there mountain range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The mountain range
so
is
like
literally named Mountain of the Dead. Interesting.
Well, it lived up to its name. There was, you know, the hype was fulfilled. So the tent, like I mentioned earlier, was the first thing that the plane spotted, and then, of course, they sent people on foot to go investigate. And they found the tent. It was all covered in snow, but it had been torn open from the inside with some kind of sharp object, probably a knife. And 8 sets of, like, footprints were found, like, exiting from the tent. And basically, the hikers, the mountaineers, left in 2 sort of big groups. One towards this wooded area, and one group towards a ravine in, let's see, a little bit of a... I'm trying to make sense of this map here.
No, you said there were 8 sets of footprints, but there were 9 people, correct?
Yeah, and
was
you know,
was
like
Jesus carrying one of them or whatever?
I don't know, like the fact that there was the 8 there will be more relevant in terms of like denying certain explanations from it. Like basically the point is that there weren't more people there than the
right.
There were 8 sets of footprints instead of like 14 sets, which means that somebody came upon them or whatever, right?
Yeah, so there was 2 sets on this like slope towards the densely forested area, and it's kind of interesting because the corpses, there was let's see, I think it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people that were in this sort of like trail leading from the tent to the forest area, and the trail ended with 2 corpses of Yuri Doroshenko and Georgy Krivonishenko. Like I said, the names are a pain in the ass. But so like I said, they were all corpses when they were found. Like everybody died. There were no survivors in this incident. And what's interesting is the people that were found at the base of the tree, they had tried to start a fire. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention, everybody in this little trail was naked or almost naked in extremely harsh weather conditions.
Huh.
which doesn't make any sense, right? It's speculated that it was paradoxical undressing.
I was going to ask if maybe that's what they thought it was.
But that only happens in about a quarter of hypothermia cases.
And the other weird thing about it is, if they had enough wits about them to try to start a fire, I don't think they would succumb to paradoxical undressing either.
Right.
Can one of you guys explain paradoxical undressing for those people who don't understand?
Yeah, basically, if you are freezing to death, in some cases, you get hot, like you feel hot, and you take off your clothes. It's called paradoxical because you're freezing to death and then you're undressing more, which obviously doesn't make any sense.
Right.
It has to do with your core body temperature. The blood goes from your limbs to your organs, basically your body's trying to save what it can. And as a result of that, you suddenly feel a rise in heat just because all the blood has moved to your internal organs rather than your limbs. So a lot of people at that point, they're delirious from the cold. They don't know what they're doing. And they just think, oh, I'm hot. I have to get undressed. And they do. And they, of course, freeze to death even faster.
Interesting.
Yeah, but that only happens in a quarter of the cases. And the tent probably was not at temperatures low enough to cause that sort of, like, phenomenon.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, why, if they're in the tent, they're warm. They're experienced mountaineers. They're not stupid. Like, they're going to keep their tent warm enough. But anyway. So, Doroshenko and Georgy Krivonishenko, they were the ones that were found by the tree. And their hands were burnt up, like they had been held in a fire. Obviously, they were trying to warm up. But they were also, like, really mangled. And the tree they were found had branches broken off 15 meters, or not 15 meters, 5 feet up, or 15 feet, 15 feet up the tree. So, like, they had been climbing it is kind of the obvious thing. There was skin found in the bark of the tree, too. So, either maybe there was something that was so frightening that they decided to climb a tree to try and escape it, or they were trying to get a vantage point, because the tent was higher up at that point.
So the tree was further down the mountain?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they were found dead there. Curiously, I don't remember exactly who it was off the top of my head, but a few of the corpses had... So there's a phenomenon when someone dies and their corpse is on whatever surface they're on. The blood isn't circulating, so it starts to pool at the lowest part of their body, whatever's touching the ground, right? Because gravity is just going to pull it down there. So there's discoloration in the skin, and that's called livor mortis. Well, these people, some of them, their livor mortis was on the wrong side. So they had to have been flipped over after they died, and long enough for the blood to pool.
Wow.
The leader, so I mentioned there was sort of a trail of corpses from the tent. Igor Dyatlov was found, the next one closer to the tent. He was the leader of it. He was found face up, like he was on his back, and he had a pine branch over, like in his hand, covering his face like he was trying to protect himself from something.
And he died that way. That's freaking crazy.
The next closest person to the tent was Rustam Slobodin. He had a large skull fracture, but he didn't have any external wounds, and I believe his death was officially ruled hypothermia.
Was there something around him, like a big rock maybe he fell in his head on, or?
No. In fact, all the damage that was done to the bodies, the doctors that examined them said that it couldn't have been done by a human. It was like the energy required was equivalent to a car crash.
God, what the fuck? That's so weird.
Yeah. Looks like he was found face down with his head towards the tent, like he was crawling.
Okay.
But he also had this, like, skull fracture.
Right, so I wonder if he got the skull fracture before he died? Like, you know, he got it and he was crawling. And I don't know, that's so weird.
Yeah. So, yeah, that could, I mean, it could have been he got disoriented and then froze to death because of it.
Wasn't one of them also missing their tongue?
Yeah,
tongue
I'll
and
get
her
to that
eyes.
one.
Yeah, that's gross.
So let's see, like map back, and then the next closest person to the tent, and the last of this little group of 5 was Kolmogorova, Zina Kolmogorova, and she just, I think she just died of hypothermia. She didn't have any. That's the thing, is none of them really had external wounds. A few of them had internal, but no serious like soft tissue damage, which is obviously a little weird.
Yeah, because if you're gonna get like a skull fracture or something, that's gonna at least cause a cut on your head or something. God,
Yeah, and
that's so
another
strange.
weird thing about the guy with the Slobodan, who was found with the skull fracture, it's like on the side of his head, but like no other part of it. It is just weird that, I don't know, like according to this website I'm reading, it's unusual for that to not affect any other part of it, like the back of the skull as well, or anything like that.
So it's
I don't know,
almost
I'm
like
not-
a
I'm
very
not an expert.
specialized injury.
Yeah, which is obviously pretty weird.
Well, isn't one of the theories that of avalanche?
Right, and that's brought up, but the thing is, like, they were, there was experienced hikers with them, and they would know what an avalanche, a high risk of an avalanche site would be. And the mountain isn't very tall, and it's not very steep either. Plus, it just seems like, I don't know, would the tent still be there? Like, it was still intact enough to, would it just be buried? I don't know. I'm not an expert on avalanches.
Yeah, no, I'm just raising it as one of the theories, and that could explain, like, how their wounds would have to be from, what was it, they're the equivalent of a car crash.
I
they
don't know
had-
if snow would, like, crack your skull, though.
No, but there wasn't even evidence that there was any sort of an avalanche. Like, there wasn't, the tent wasn't buried. There would have had to have been more snow there for it to have been an avalanche. But there's a lot of theories as to why it happened.
I think what's most interesting about all the theories trying to explain it is that each one of them ends up being contradicted by some kind of evidence. But I'll get to that. Anyway, so that was the first group of the 5 people that were dead. And most of them were, like, in various states of undress. But there was a little ravine farther past the trees that the rest of the corpses were found. And most of these guys still had their clothes on. The person with no tongue or anything, that was Ludmila Dumanina. Her foot was wrapped up in somebody else's pants. I think it was Doroshenko's pants. Her tongue and her eyes were missing. She had no external or soft tissue damage, but her internal organs were completely crushed in her chest. Like there was some strong pressure. Like a tremendous pressure.
Right, wasn't there a couple of them that had really bad internal injuries?
Yeah, Zolotaryov. He was also found in that ravine. He was wearing Dumanina's hat and coat. He had the camera with him, no gear, and his chest was all crushed up. But he didn't have any external soft tissue damage either. So I'm not really sure how you could do that much internal damage and not damage the outside, The other 2 that were found there, let's see, Nikolai, oh Jesus, his name, I'll call him Nikolai. He had a tremendous, 7-inch skull fracture in his head that the doctor that examined them afterward said that basically a person could not have done that. And again, none of these people, had the external wounds that you would associate with the kind of damage that happened in the inside of their body.
Right, that doesn't make any sense either. Didn't some of them, wasn't some of the clothes have, like, radiation in it, too?
Yeah, some of it, but not all of it.
Right.
Some people have tried to explain that as basically, like, you know, radioactive or, like, nuclear research was at the pinnacle at that time. The lab, like, there might have been an accidental radon or radiant exposure. It's possible. I don't know. The families, when they went to the funerals, said that the skin appeared orange and the hair was really gray. That could have been a result of the hypothermia. I don't know.
Interesting.
I'm not really sure what would cause that. Probably a post-mortem thing.
Some sort of...
Is that a common thing, though, for people's skin to turn orange and their hair to turn gray? Like, I've never heard of that happening in a case of, like, hypothermia or whatever.
No, I've never heard of that either.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, according to this website, Kolevfatov, one of the people that died in the ravine, his sweater, the waistband, and the lower part of his trousers were tested radioactive. And he actually had some exposed skull bones and a broken nose. Yeah, the other person is Luda Dumanina, who had her tongue and eyes missing.
Yeah, how was that? Like, were they gouged out? Did they ever say how that had happened? I mean, like... Were they just gone? Were they just gone?
Well, it was torn out from the root, apparently.
Good lord.
Wow, what the fuck? Now, I did hear, supposedly, she was found face down in a stream, so one of the theories is that that was what caused it. Have you heard about that?
No.
I have not.
How does being face down the stream have to do with you losing your entire tongue?
I don't know if maybe, like, a soft tissue thing. I don't know. Like... It seems like it's one of those things that all the explanations don't make any sense. Like, I've never heard of someone being found face down in a stream and, like, their tongue and their eyes are missing, you know?
Right. That doesn't make any sense.
According to the medical records, it just says the tongue is missing.
Okay, I thought that someone had missing eyeballs as well.
That was her. That's the same person.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's so weird. I don't know. It seems to me that if you look, like, your whole face is basically soft tissue, right?
Sure.
So if you're face down in a stream and, like, the cold or whatever causes some of your face to come off, you would think that, like, her nose would be missing, her ears would be missing. You have more soft tissue in your face than just your tongue.
And your eyeballs.
You know, like, your lips would be missing. Yeah, so I don't know. It's just I don't see how it would affect one of those things and not the other.
Yeah. And the other weird thing is, like, people try to explain it as, oh, maybe there was some kind of falling out, there was a disagreement, or, you know, like, some kind of fight broke out. Well, according to the doctors, none of the damage done was, like, it could have been caused by a human, and then, like, that doesn't really explain why they all died in these weird ways.
Yeah, I've never been in such a big fight that I ran out of a tent naked into, like, negative 30-degree weather.
No.
Yeah.
And then tried to climb a tree.
Right. And the tent had some undeveloped film and some journals and stuff in it. And when they developed it, like, they were all shown, like, they were all happy, everything was going fine, they were joking around, taking silly pictures, that kind of thing. And according to the journals, on the day they died, they had eaten at about 7 p.m. And from the, you know, half-digested remains in their stomach that the coroners found, they said the incident occurred probably between 9:30 and 11:30. And some people speculate the people that were in the ravine were trying to find shelter, but also the same thing is said about those that were running towards, like, the forested area, which is kind of in the same direction anyway. but it's still like it. Like what were they running from, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
like you can't. It's not an avalanche, I don't think, because like if an avalanche happens, you're not going to have the time to like cut open your tent and run like a mile or however long down into the forest. Like you're just going to get swept up. I don't think it would be people because, like you said, there were only 8 sets of footprints, and you would have footprints going to and from the camp if it was like the tribe's people or whoever.
Yeah.
The Mansi people also aren't known for being like violent or attacking like people.
They actually participated in the search and rescue effort. They were helping out. So it'd be kind of weird if like they murdered all these people and then we're like trying to figure out. That's just like odd, you know.
Yeah.
Or they're playing some 4D chess right there.
Maybe. Again,
so
you'd think there'd be footprints.
The the Soviet military got involved in the investigation, and by the way, the corpses in the ravine, they weren't found until like 4 months later or not 4 months. They weren't found until like May of that year because they had to wait for the snow to melt. And after that happened, the case just got suddenly closed, and the official explanation is quote, unknown compelling force, unquote. And then they just closed the case.
Wasn't there a theory that there was some sort of government activity behind this, some sort of military secret weapons or something like that?
There's a lot of different theories.
Who, he helped out with the ID of all the stuff afterward. According to him, he found a pair of glasses and a scrap of a coat that he believes was a soldier's coat. And he didn't recognize the glasses or this other pair of skis. But I mean, I don't know, maybe he just forgot.
Okay. That's so strange. So are there really any theories about this that, like, however outlandish they are, that fit all the facts of the case?
There's one. There's a guy published an article called "The Enigma of the Fireballs," where excuse me, it said that the true cause of the accident was fireballs or a UFO. There's a quote says, when Masnelikov and I examined the scene in May, we found that some of the young pine trees at the edge of the forest had burn marks, but those marks did not have a concentric form or some other pattern. There was no epicenter. This once again confirmed that heated beams of a strong but completely unknown, at least to us, energy were directing their firepower towards specific objects, in this case people, acting selectively. Later on, Kirilenko professed a lively interest in UFOs and received memos about sightings of UFOs from KGB chief Andropov. So, that theory.
Some hikers to the south reported that they saw some orange fireballs in the sky that night. And the chief Soviet investigator believes that the fireballs were involved in some way. And he thinks they were directly responsible.
Well, of course, then the question is, what were the fireballs?
Right. I mean, like, and why did the Soviet officials, like, shut the case down, once they started talking about these bright flying spheres?
The fireballs could have been some sort of Soviet nuclear test, because the clothes of the victims were found to be irradiated. Yeah,
but why weren't the bodies irradiated? And why weren't all the clothes irradiated? And why wasn't the tent irradiated? And why wasn't the entire area irradiated?
Yeah, if there was, say, a nuclear test or something, the whole area is going to be blanketed in radiation. It wouldn't make sense for just an article of clothing to be irradiated and nothing else.
And what split the skulls? What crushed their chests in? That's why the Mansi attack is kind of like nonsense, because there'd be, if the footprints from like themselves were there, then surely a whole bunch of people going in and making a violent attack on them would leave some kind of evidence.
Yeah,
Right.
and they would probably fight back too. Like if you get attacked by a bunch of tribesmen, you're gonna fight back. There's like 9 of you. You're not just gonna run naked into the forest and freeze to death.
And if you look at sort of the Mount Sea people, they're very small, sort of Siberian, they're not very threatening looking. Like a couple, like a group of, in shape skiers could fight them off.
Yeah, and like there was no bullet wounds, and like these people, they had rifles and stuff, and there was no sign of a struggle anywhere.
So they had rifles. Did they shoot them at all, or no?
No, there's no bullet wounds.
No casings, nothing like that.
No, nothing.
That's so strange that whatever it was scared them so bad that they had to immediately run away, but they didn't think to shoot at it.
Well,
Like even if it were, say, a Yeti.
Oh no!
you would think they would shoot it.
The tribals had rifles.
Okay. I thought you were saying the. Okay. Gotcha.
No, they're not
Never
like
mind.
our tribals that
No. I
have the bow and
thought
stuff.
the hikers had the rifles.
It was probably just weight. Too much weight.
Yeah. Okay. But
Another-
even still, like they
Go ahead.
would have been shot. Oh, I was just gonna say, even like if the tribesmen had rifles, yeah, they would have shot them if they attacked them.
well,
Like, it
did you
doesn't
know
make
that?
sense.
Did you guys know that 2 of the hikers were engineers at the plutonium production facility there? So 2 of
No,
those
that I
people
didn't know.
may have been working with the Russian nuclear weapons people.
Oh, well then the explanation of the CIA did it.
You say that they were working at this place. That could explain why some of their clothing was irradiated and why some was not.
Right, maybe it was
Yeah,
just
the
the articles
sweaters
from
weren't
these
one.
2 people or whatever.
Right, they wore it, last week to work or whatever, and got some radiation on it. I don't know.
Well,
don't know how that works.
I remember reading it was heavily irradiated.
Okay, so it wasn't like a background thing, like they went to work and got a little.
No, I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember it's like their clothes were heavily irradiated.
I read conflicting information, but like I can't confirm it. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what is really the most reliable source on how much, which is kind of a qualitative thing.
I mean, if it wasn't heavy, that would be an explanation that they work, with nuclear
Mhm.
materials.
But like I said, I don't know. Some people have speculated like it was a Yeti attack, which, big ass Yeti footprints probably pretty hard to miss. And then, like, why did they only attack a few of them? It's still weird that their external wounds are so few. And like if they were throwing boulders or whatever, like Bigfoot does, like wouldn't there be smashed boulders around? I don't know. Like that one's just a weird one. And,
Yeah, you would
like I
think,
said, each
you would think if there was an
explanation
attack, you'd think there'd be footprints or something, or some sort of signs of a struggle or something. But something caused these people to cut through the side of the tent and take off into the cold, naked.
Mhm.
Something. So.
Yeah, that's the strangest thing about this is you can have a theory for it, and it will fit some of the facts, but then it will be in complete contradiction to the rest of the facts.
Mm-hmm.
Right, exactly.
Wasn't there something about they when they found the bodies? They found 11 bodies, but there was only 9 people went up there.
There was only what?
That 9 people went on the trip, but they found 11 bodies when they did the searching.
I haven't read that.
One of these is this woman, Maria Ivanova, whatever, says a chance meeting on a train with a medical assistant at the accident site. Maria Ivanova revealed that she recalled 11 bodies being discovered and not 9. 2 were hurriedly removed to a destination unknown to her, and Yuri Yarovai, a Sverdlovsk writer and journalist who was a photographer for the original rescue mission, later involved in the inquest, wrote a book entitled Of the Highest Rank of Complexity, a romanticized version of the incident. He was allegedly made to rewrite it twice before the authorities permitted its publication. In this version, only the team leader dies. Now is the interesting part. Yuri and his wife were killed in a car crash in the mid-1980s. This has nothing to do with the book. Okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So a few years before this part's declassification, according to the source of all of his papers, all his papers, records, and private notes of the Dyatlov Pass incident have gone missing since he wrote that book. So
that's convenient.
Yeah. Okay, so it does come together. I thought it had nothing to do with it there for a second. Like, wait a minute. No, but there's a couple of different different people's stories talking about there was 11 bodies recovered instead of 9.
So maybe there was something more to it then.
Yeah, then they're telling us. You're also talking about Russia in 1959. So
yeah, it's not exactly like the most open society.
Right, and not going to be open to telling the West, you know. Yes, 9 people died in mountains. That's all you need to know. You know, like that's it. That's what the Russians told us. I'm sure that there's more to it. I mean, just look at what happened. You have people naked out in the woods. People were so terrified that they were climbing a tree and left pieces of their hands in the tree bark.
That's how frantically they were climbing.
Yeah, that's how they were climbing so frantically that they tore their flesh and broke off branches up to 15 feet in the air. I mean, something doesn't really make a lot of sense with that. Doesn't seem like something normal people would do. Something was crazy was going on, and that's something we'll never know. It's really frustrating.
If it really was 11, that kind of disproves the 9 number that's associated with the event. You know, the Montse folklore that mentioned the 9 tribesmen who died on a mountain nearby, the Mountain of the Dead, and then the 9 skiers from the Dyatlov Pass incident. And then in 1991, there was a plane crash that happened nearby where 9 people died.
Well, yeah.
I mean, there could be some sort of significance to that number 9.
Could be. Could just have been a
well,
weird...
if it was said to be 9 and actually 11, could it be that the Bush family did this, perhaps?
Oh, wait, it's 9/11. Stanley Kubrick did the Dyatlov Pass.
Yeah. They knew the truth about the moon landing, so they had to be silenced.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. It was 1959.
The Jews did
How would
that.
they have known about the moon
traveled
landing?
Through time.
Time
Travel.
They time traveled.
Okay, now it all makes sense.
So,
They were all
Sasquatch.
gay.
Wait a second. No, now we're...
It was Sasquatch time travel made them all gay.
What?
I believe it.
That's a...
Yeah.
Mind blown. Holy shit, that's what
I think
happened.
we solved it.
We solved it. There you go, folks. You heard it here first. No, that's not what happened. Is it? We'll never know.
Well, now that you brought up the fact that there's reports of 11 bodies being found, it actually, in a sense, to me, makes it a little bit more explicable just because obviously there's some evidence that's been left out. And what that evidence is, I don't know. Or what kind of evidence could be, like covered up or stolen. That makes it seem like it makes more sense just because the reason that we don't know is because we're missing information. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I do think that there was probably some sort of cover-up. Like, you don't expect the Soviets to be truthful about whatever happened.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of secrets lie behind the Iron Curtain, and that's where they will always stay.
Yeah, I wonder if there's some sort of archive somewhere that actually talks about what actually happened.
It's probably in the same warehouse where they're housing the Ark of the Covenant. It's that big warehouse from the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark. You know, they put it in the box.
Right.
And it's just that giant warehouse of boxes with one number on the side. and nobody knows what anything is. It's just, that's where they put all this giant skeletons from Catalina Island in California. Is somebody taping a package?
Oh, no, sorry.
Somebody was wrapping birthday presents. I forgot what I was saying.
The warehouse.
Oh, right.
Serious.
It wasn't anything serious, yeah. No, but I mean, even if there is such an archive, nobody's going to tell us. We're going to have to discover it, break in, and start making Facebook Live videos about what we found.
We'll do that.
That's what the
that'll be our
donations
next.
are for.
That'll be our next episode. We're gonna break into the warehouse from Indiana Jones, and live stream.
I thought the donations were to get Jim Fetzer on.
Is that what we're saving them up for? All right.
Nah, that guy will do it for free.
Wow.
He'll do anything.
Let's get Jim Fetzer on the next episode.
We gotta meme him on the show.
Oh my God, you guys! All right, I'm gonna have to reach out to him via email or something and see. So are we good with the Dyatlov Pass? Is that where we're gonna leave it? We don't know?
Well, we're no closer to figuring out what it is and increasingly confused. So I'd say yeah.
Are we all in agreement it was the Yeti?
It's definitely not a Yeti.
It was definitely the Yeti.
Unless
Well, if it
he
was a
time
Yeti,
traveled
there'd be-
there in one spot and then killed them without moving to leave prints, and then time traveled away and the snow covered up the prints.
Yeah, no. It would seem that maybe a herd of Sasquatches could have done it, but there would have been footprints.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still like, what would scare you so much that you would cut open the side of your tent and run out naked instead of using the tent entrance? Unless, there's the theory that...
Go ahead, sorry.
I was going to say, there's a theory that there are some guards from a prison camp nearby came in and attacked them, and that's what those other bodies that they supposedly found when they found 11 bodies were. I mean, does that make sense that maybe these people were attacked by some crazy prison guards who just wanted to have sex with the women, and everybody was sleeping, and then they just cut their way out and ran off, and then when the search team found the bodies, they just hid the two guard bodies and lied? I mean, does that make sense?
No, because their corpse, the wounds, the damage that the body suffered, is just not consistent with a human attack.
Right. Then there's that.
Have you heard the one about the infrared, where they think that due to the way the wind blows around the mountain, it caused some sort of infrared sound that's known to cause panic attacks?
The Karaman vortex
is light.
Yeah, the Karaman vortex street is called.
Huh.
That almost makes sense to me, but you got to consider the injuries they suffered still. It would explain why they ran away, but it wouldn't explain why they had all these weird internal injuries.
I mean, maybe they could have caused them to each other in sort of their moment of hysteria.
But it's just not consistent with a human attack, though.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
have a question.
It's a very confusing.
How did Ludmila Dublina's tongue and eyes get removed?
That's not going to be caused
how.
by a panic attack.
Just that they were gone.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So how were they removed? Were they surgically removed? Were they yanked out? I mean, did she have tears? Were there, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If she had internal chest and heart injuries, so they found her face down, and she had internal injuries as well as missing her. She was frozen in the ice, from what I read, and so it doesn't seem like if that happened that her eyes and tongue were removed, clearly before she was frozen in the ice. So, she was probably dead before that. I mean,
Well, that's the other thing is that some of the corpses had that livor mortis that indicated that they were on one orientation on the ground at some point for long enough for the blood to pool there, and then they were flipped over.
Yeah, so obviously the bodies were visited after they were dead, which if it was just a panic attack and they all ran out and froze to death, that wouldn't explain the livor mortis either.
No, it wouldn't at all. I mean, none of it really makes any sense at all to me. So
This is one of those topics where you leave it the research with more questions than answers.
Yeah, I thought it was basically already solved. Like, I thought people knew, like, oh, it was from this or that, you know? Like, but
Nope.
nothing really makes sense with it.
Yeah, and they weren't intoxicated either because the only alcohol they brought was for medical purposes and it hadn't even been opened.
Which is extremely strange for Russians.
Yeah.
Right?
It almost makes me think that this entire case is bullshit. Because not a single tracksuit was found.
And none of them were drunk. Were any of them found in the squatting position?
No. See, that it's bullshit. Maybe the unknown compelling force was just this, like, metaphysical wave of temperance that overtook them, and their body, like, died instantly from withdrawal.
So something happened that removed the Slav?
They just, they just needed alcohol and they couldn't get it.
Right. Interesting. I don't know. It's a freaky freaking story. 9 people died out in the snow. Or maybe 11. Much like other things with like our own intelligence agencies, we'll never find out the actual answer because the KGB's not going to tell us.
Hell no.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, maybe this whole thing does have an explanation, but we're not going to know that.
I'm gonna go with like probably not like the way that they shut the investigation down. You know, like they were like, nope, that is it. It is this. Shut up. You know, like that was a really bad Russian accent. But you know, that was it.
It's almost like the investigators were freaked out by it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
So who
they just
knows?
wanted it to go away.
They made a movie out of it. I think it was in 2013 or 2014. They made a movie out of it, and
Are you talking about Devil's Pass?
is that what it is? Is that Devil's Pass? It was like it wasn't
It
actually.
was like a really, really shitty horror movie.
Yeah, but instead of 9 Russians, it was 5 Americans. It's the same story, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a.
What was
it's a
the
shitty
explanation
movie.
in the movie?
Oh, I don't. It's
So like a spooky
fucking
ghost or
unrealistic.
something?
Yeah, some sort of ghost thing. So stupid movie shit. So, but there are people. The investigator, well, the main investigator in private said that he thought it was aliens. So
That's almost the only thing that would make any sense to me. Some sort of like floating orb that
Right.
can also damage.
And considering that we've established that you believe in fairies last episode, so yeah.
I mean, it's no less plausible, right?
Right, it's no less plausible
Well,
than our theories of whatever. I'm down with the fairies and the boulders thing now that I've read up on it. It makes more sense. That's not true, John. It's just some stupid Disney film. Like, no, that's what Disney wants you to believe. But those things are real. And who knows? Maybe it was an interdimensional radioactive being that showed up, or maybe it was just a Russian nuclear experiment gone wrong.
I still don't understand the weirdly inconsistent
Yeah, it's super
corpse,
inconsistent.
like the damage.
Yeah, everything's just so strange about the corpses. It doesn't. I don't know.
Like, because there's evidence to support, there's like a little bit of evidence for a whole bunch of different explanations. It's almost like all these causes like only partially were expressed, which sounds totally crazy, but like a Yeti teleports in and does his thing and then is like teleported out, and like, I don't know, tribesmen show up and cut the tongue out, or you know what I mean? Like, it's like a whole bunch of things partially happened and added up to this one thing, but none of them actually like concluded or finished.
The Yeti teleported behind them, and then in Sasquatch language said, "Ha, nothing personal, kid."
That's exactly what happened.
Katana, the Yeti katana was folded so many times it was able to pass through their skin without causing any damage.
Yeah.
That's what happened. So it was no external damage, but it just shredded the interior.
Yeah, I've seen that on Devil May Cry 3.
All right, well, there you go. We solved
There we
it.
go. Mystery solved. Thank you, Adam. Damn. So yeah, the Dyatlov Pass remains a mystery.
Yeah.
That was
What do you guys think out of all the theories that have been presented? What is the most plausible? I personally lean towards the sort of military experiment angle, and that's that they could easily cover it up and spread misinformation to hide their own ass.
I say UFOs.
Yeah, aliens.
I'm down with the aliens. Gonna go aliens.
I don't know. I just don't trust the Russians.
I don't trust any of them. Yeah. Exactly. What if it's the Russian and their alien faction, like we talked about earlier? The 5 or 6 alien races that are working with the top governments around the world and blah blah blah. The Russians have theirs. We have ours. Who's to say it wasn't some sort of alien thing?
So does that mean like our aliens and their aliens are trying to like patch things up, and that's why like Donald Trump wants better relations with Russia because the aliens are telling him to?
Oh, for Christ's sake! That's a whole entire other episode, Brad.
That's for another episode, right?
That's
there.
for another episode. Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap this thing up. This was fun. We'll do some more stuff next week. Thanks for joining us again, Brad. And I'm pretty sure we got a creepypasta from you coming up.
Yes, you do.
Scott and Adam, you guys got anything you want to add here in the end?
No, I don't think so. Something about Yeti katanas, I guess.
Yeah.
Adam?
No, I'm pretty satisfied.
Right on. Alrighty then. Well, we will talk to you folks next week. We're going to take you out with another creepypasta. This has been the Paranormies present the Ahnenerbe Hour, and we'll see you later.
Time travel makes you gay.
August 13th, 1921. Professor Herbert Clayton, Children's Ward. St. Mary's Children's Hospital, Fife, Scotland. Dear Professor, my trusted friend and mentor, I write to you in the hope that you may advise me on a matter of urgency concerning a patient of mine. Edward is a boy of just 9 years who arrived with his mother 6 days ago with a disposition so positive that we did not first admit him. This did not last long. Edward claims that 6 days ago, while playing in the garden, he became aware of someone or something watching him. He identified a shadowy figure like black ink with large circular eyes and elongated limbs. Edward described that while it resembled an owl, it spoke as if inside his head, with the voice of his recently deceased father. The voice apparently told Edward that it would come for him in 7 days to take him to the Desolate Plain, a place whose name I am unfamiliar with. Its mere mention brought Edward into a fit of hysteria. His condition has deteriorated quickly in the last few days. The boy has become convinced that the shadowy figure has returned and is moving closer each time towards him. The delusions appear to have some connection to the mirrors and glass, both of which Edward has banished from his room. I write to you, Professor, because on the final night of Edward's imaginary deadline, I went in to check on the boy and found that he was not alone in his bedroom. I could discern only 2 things in the moonlight, each of them a sight I shall take to the grave. First, a figure whose retracting limbs cracked like broken wood as it moved into the shadows. The second, a look of such tragic countenance etched upon the child's face that none could suffer it and be unmoved. I heard your voice from the shadows, emanating from two round eyes that glinted and lost themselves like waves upon a black sea. But it was not your voice, Professor. And I write to you now because Edward passed away this morning, and I am no longer alone, even when I believe myself to be. Faithfully, Dr. George Booth.